Hey everyone, it's Alex here, otherwise known as YaBonks, and on today's episode of the YaBonks Show, I have a very special guest. I have Sam from the Hydrowhales NFTs, as well as Project 79. Sam, do you want to say hi to the audience?
Hey, thank you so much for having us on here tonight. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, and speaking of appreciating taking the time, thank you for going over documentation and working out the NDAs with me so I can be privy to some of these details that we've been going over for weeks now that a lot of people aren't privy to because, we got lawyers involved so I could kind of see behind the curtain on some of your operations so that way I could feel more confident bringing your projects to my audience and my viewers. So thanks for going through all the trouble with that. We've already been talking for 3 hours now, going over a lot of legal stuff, and so I appreciate the time you've taken to do all that extra stuff with me. I got a whole bunch of questions though that came from me and my community. So first thing, do you want to tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Sam Pittman, one of the co-founders of the Hydrowhales Mining Club. It's myself and all the other co-founders of this project. We're all serial entrepreneurs with a kind of a wealth of experience in different industries. So we spent, years building businesses, exiting businesses, and that's one key thing we believe to have a successful project in any crypto space or the real world is to have that necessary experience as being an entrepreneur, as running businesses. Because a few months ago or last year, yes, you could have a picture-based NFT project, but now we're trying to change the entire world of what the NFT space is. And this is when you need that business mindset, which every single of our co-founders has. All four of us are serial entrepreneurs and investors and have been for many years. And that's given us one real big advantage in this crypto space.
Absolutely. And I don't know how many of the viewers here know the level of serial entrepreneur that you are, and you're a young guy. However, you've shown me some of your other businesses you've launched, e-commerce, things like that over the years, and you've got a lot going on, and you're bringing a lot of that to the Hydrowhales ecosystem, along with a lot of your teammates. Kind of are cut from the same cloth, where they're serial entrepreneurs, and you've been doing business with some of those guys for years. Is that right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So we do go way back in terms of all of the team. So myself, Adam Gerard and Anderson, we've worked together for about 6 years or so, running businesses together. Then we have our other co-founder, Adam Dignan. So we've been working together for around 2 to 3 years now. So he was actually a client of our Web3 agency a few years back. And we ended up, he had an idea for, Bitcoin mining. He had access to one of the largest facilities in the States to actually launch a project around that. So initially we were going to be taking it down kind of a regulated wrapped bond fund over here in the UK. But we ended up taking it in that NFT direction. We believe we could bring, exposure to Bitcoin mining to, your kind of typical crypto investor that maybe doesn't have, $10,000, $15,000 to go spend on these machines, upgrade your power supply to your house, and have a partner that's willing to listen to it all day long, run it. Because I know miners, and I used to have GPUs running in the house, and mine was not pleased with all of that.
And that's what
But
I'm doing right
that's why.
now. So you kind of touched on this. Do you want to kind of give an elevator pitch for what Hydro Whales Mining Club is, so that way people can have a kind of a full picture?
Absolutely. So Hydrowhales Mining Club is an NFT project backed with a foundation of Bitcoin mining. So we already have over 305 Bitcoin miners live. So that's producing us 4.5 Bitcoin every single month. And in the current conditions of the market, that's just over $100,000 a month coming into our community. But we're not just about Bitcoin mining. So Bitcoin mining is our foundation. Our community has 8 different revenue streams, including Bitcoin mining. So we're actually leveraging this cash flow we're generating from Bitcoin mining to invest into kind of DeFi protocols, into real world businesses, to kickstarting projects through our launch pad. And then we have ability to do things such as liquidity providing as our treasury grows, bigger. And that's something that teams are actively working on. Like, for example, I'm out here in Indonesia with some of the team members right now, meeting with VCs, crypto exchanges out here, negotiating different rates for liquidity providing to them. And we're going to be flying all over the world to do so. So we're meeting all these VCs and exchanges and any other kind of key persons of interest in the crypto space in person. So we're building, the great network for the Hydrowhales community to leverage and utilize. So that way we can, maximize the potential of this project.
So, in other words, Hydrowhales has a lot going on. I mean, if I heard you correctly, it's not just, kind of a revenue sharing model for Bitcoin mining, but you've got 8 other revenue streams right now, and you're currently out in Indonesia. You're jet setting around the world, setting up deals with all these other companies, and you're in Indonesia right now, setting up liquidity providing contracts to bring in more revenue streams. And while we're talking, I want to just pull up the website here so anybody who's interested can kind of have an idea of what the NFTs look like. So you were saying we've gone through the phase of crypto where NFTs were fancy pictures basically, and now we're going into the realm of utility NFTs. And would that be a correct description of what a Hydrowhale NFT is?
Absolutely. I mean, I'd still say we're probably more than just, a utility. So we'll bring in passive rewards to our holders. I think, we are a legal business. We are registered as a business over in Cyprus, which is a crypto tax-friendly country. We have a legal team on board that are on retainer throughout this project and, for the foreseeable future. So, we've got that side of things. We are an actual business. It's not just, a project as such. It is being run as an actual business. And I think that's what sets us out a little bit differently to a lot of these other NFT projects out there. Because, you could have utilities. It could be an access pass or something like that. But no, we're rewarding our holders for, holding one of our NFTs with payouts from the Hydrowhales, the mining revenue from our community treasury and from our token, which is going to be, launched in the next 2 to 3 months.
Interesting. And your website here has a lot of information on it that is just kind of, it seems over the top at first when you look at like the potential rewards per NFT here. And it says year 1, $1,000. And year 2, $3,000, year 3, $12,000, year 4, $46,000, and year 5, $100,000 of rewards that would get kicked back to each holder of each NFT. So I'm sitting here in my head thinking, okay, I buy a Hydrowhales Mining Club NFT, and in 5 years, I'm making $100,000 a year just from this NFT. That sounds crazy, right? So explain, how do you get to these numbers? Because that's my first thing. I got to know, how do you get to these numbers?
Absolutely. So we do have, that our white paper does break it down in terms of revenue streams for the Hydrowhales project and where the payouts come from each year. So years 1 to 3 are, primarily focused on the Bitcoin revenue, community treasury payouts, and payouts through our token as well. But years 4 and 5 is where it gets a little bit more interesting, because that's where, by then in 4 to 5 years, we expect more legislations and understanding of NFTs come into play across, multiple governments and countries. Because from there, that's when we'd be liking to give ownership, actual physical ownership, potential shares of different businesses we're launching through the launch pad and all of those back to our holders. So then they're not only getting all of those other payouts, but then they're also gaining, shares into that value, which could skyrocket to even further on there, even further than predicted. We want to beat those projections. So all of the founders of this project are whale holders ourselves. So we want to absolutely massively beat them. So we are determined to do that, and that's why we're working our absolute asses off here. We're going global. So we're expecting to be traveling for around 3 to 4 months, just setting up all of these meetings, getting contracts ready, like things like the liquidity providing. That may not be for another year and a half or so. but we're setting these contracts ready now. So then as soon as we have enough capital to do so, we can kick that off. So we're lining up things that years ahead, but we want to be ready to rock and roll with everything. So that's why we're pushing this hard.
And that is a good answer. So when I first came to your website, I assumed, just glancing through it, I was looking at these numbers, and I just thought this would be from the Bitcoin mining rewards, and there's going to be a bit of that, obviously, where it's going to be the Bitcoin mining profits get kicked back, but also they roll into themselves, where you use those profits to buy more miners to expand the operation to then provide the holders with more profits. So it'll be basically you're going to be compounding your miners. And
Absolutely.
Is there a limit to that you guys will run into at some point?
No, so in terms of like the number of Bitcoin miners we can have, it is almost kind of endless. I'd love to see us having over 1,000 miners within the next 5 years or so and more. But we're very, very fortunate. The company that we have our miners hosted with, they have multiple facilities globally. Currently, we're in one over in the States, and they're actually launching another one in the States as well. So I mean, we'll start to split the mining, the new set of miners as we acquire them into other ones there in the States as well. But I mean, they've got capacity for hundreds of thousands of miners globally. So it's not an issue we're going to see in the foreseeable future. But maybe in 10, 20 years time, as we keep on growing, maybe there might be a day where there's a little less room, but I mean, that's 10 to 20 years away. But for now, I don't expect any issues with that.
And you guys are using S19 Pro ASIC miners. These are not cheap, right? How much does one of those cost retail?
So it depends. So I mean, base around $6,000, but then you have to account for import taxes, electricity. We have to pay electricity deposits for initial purchase of these miners. Then you have insurance costs, then you have shipping. You have a lot of other fees associated with it. So you can see like, okay, it's $6,000 or so. But in reality, you're adding a lot more on top of that for the actual things required to get it going live, setup fees and everything like that. So we were anticipating to purchase 125 miners in phase 4, but we ended up purchasing 184 in the end. So we again over delivered on that. So we were boosting the number we were getting from our initial projections. So I mean, we kicked off this project back in March this year. So obviously, the price of miners was a lot higher. So I'm very grateful in a way that this has taken us a while to finish minting out a project, because it's allowed us to capitalize on the price of miners being lower. So now we're mining 4.5 Bitcoin a month. In comparison, we were only expecting to mine 3.1 Bitcoin a month. I mean, that's a huge difference. That's nearly a 50% jump in what we can mine every single month. So we've really taken advantage of the lower pricing.
That's awesome. And then ideally, when the next bull run comes around, if Bitcoin goes back up to $60,000 per Bitcoin or more, you can see what that means. 4.5 Bitcoin, you're approaching like $300,000 a month in rewards that get compounded back into itself and then paid out to NFT holders. So that's, I think, a good overview. We could get into the weeds here on Hydrowhales. And I know we kind of want to focus on your new endeavor right now that's going to be part of this ecosystem. So I think that gives everybody kind of an idea that the Hydrowhales NFTs is your way to utilize and you guys utilize hydropower. Is that correct to do all this?
That's correct. Hence the name Hydrowhales. So yeah, that's one key thing for us. Like previous businesses we've run have had a very sustainable focus. So from a sustainable vertical farm to sustainable cannabis farming and things like that in previous businesses. And we highlighted that one of the biggest problems in crypto is the negative impact it has potentially on the global emissions being produced by it, but also a lot of people have a negative perspective of it, especially what the governments do. Like it's causing so much harm, using so much electricity, and doing so much damage to the environment. Which is why we wanted to push for a renewable only powered facility, because there's some legislation clamping down on non-renewable energy backed crypto.
Right.
farming facilities. So in this way, we protect ourselves for the long run. We're helping the planet, and you do actually get slightly cheaper electricity rates going fully renewable as well. So there's lots of benefits to it.
So that's really cool. I know, like you said, there's been a lot of contention around people burning fossil fuels and coal and things like that for the electricity to mine Bitcoin when we have all of these other energy sources like hydro, geothermal, solar that we could be using to power our secure monetary network known as Bitcoin, right? So very cool. You guys are using hydropower. That's a very cool aspect of this project that you've put in here. So it's like people who want to get into Bitcoin mining but can't afford a $6,000 amp miner, or they can't afford the electricity at their house. Like I'm in Florida. If I'm running one of these things, I have to set up a 220-volt circuit. I have to somehow cool this thing down, and I'm in Florida, so the AC costs are going to be insane. But I still want to get in on Bitcoin mining just because I'm a DeFi enthusiast and I can get exposure to that just by holding a Hydrowhale NFT, right?
Absolutely, yeah. No, that's one of our goals. Is it is incredibly expensive to get into Bitcoin mining, and Bitcoin is the gold of crypto. Um, so being able to get into it is incredibly beneficial. And still, right now, with the current prices of Bitcoin, this is the ideal time to stack up on it. So what we're actually expecting to do is pay out the portion of mining revenue that goes to our holders directly in wrapped Bitcoin. So you're not only you getting the price of getting paid back out, but also you could then hold that wrapped Bitcoin and then have the appreciation of Bitcoin as it goes up. So you could just keep that stored away somewhere, keep it nice and safe, and let that run up high nice in the next bull run as well.
That's awesome, and that's probably what I would do. I am planning on getting at least one of these. I know I'm kind of in the same boat as Austin Clark, where we were frantically FOMOing during your phase 4 minting, and we were both waiting for funds to transfer to do this on the Ethereum network, and it minted out so fast that we both missed out. So I don't know if he got his yet, but I like your phase 4. You guys minted 5,000 like in no time in 1 or 2 days, and the only way to get them now is the secondary market and on OpenSea. The cheapest I'm seeing is 0.45 Ethereum, and Ethereum's like $1,600 right now. So this is like $700-800 to get it. So the people who minted them got them basically half that price. So these things like doubled in value already. So that kind of sucks for me and Austin, but we'll figure something out. Either way, with what you guys are doing and these projections, like obviously DeFi is inherently risky and there's a lot of centralization here with you guys running this business and these launching these other businesses. So obviously it's kind of like a bet that you guys will perform and keep executing on your vision and on your businesses. So far, you guys are killing it. And if you guys keep going like that for the next 5 years, and one of these things nets me 100 grand per year, like me and my wife will be very happy, right? That'd be a crypto win for us. Now, we can dive deep on this. Like your white paper alone is very, very in-depth.
Got 40 pages there.
It's crazy. And you guys are talking about like all the different things you guys are going to get into, like nodes and validators, staking pools, liquidity providing, cannabis, all these different businesses that you're going to profit share with the Hydrowhales NFT holders. But today we want to talk about Project 79, and this is brand new. Some of you may have seen this picture already, the controversial picture, Sam and company sitting here with treasure chests full of gold bars. This is wild, man. Do you want to give me a quick elevator pitch for what Project 79 is and how it fits into the Hydrowhales ecosystem?
Yeah, so I guess to start with, Hydrowhales Mining Club has a launch pad on it, which we're building up. So we want to be able to kickstart off a huge range of different projects, both across the crypto space and the real world, just to bring visibility to it and help push it out. Now, the first few projects we're going to be pushing out through this will be, Hydrowhales owns its own project going through it. So, for example, this is what Project 79 is. And we're doing this to set the level of standard of projects we want to go through this. We are not going to be launching, tens of projects of different projects every single year. We want to keep it very limited to a select number of few of project going through that. Now, one of this is Project 79. So we've been working on this for several months behind the scenes. We finally have the green light from our legal team. So we have, we've secured a range of contracts to be able to purchase gold and then sell it and import it into Dubai and sell it directly to refineries over there. Now, getting access to a Dubai refinery is not an easy thing. So we have been networking very, very heavily and being able to secure contracts for that. So there's not too many refineries over there. You need to know people in the high levels of those companies and those refineries and have spent millions and millions with them to get access. So we've been very, very fortunate that we've been able to gain access ourselves. And this is what Project 79 is going to be all about. So we have contracts for purchasing gold at kind of one price directly from different mining companies globally. And then we have the ability then to import that over into Dubai and then sell that directly to the refineries at the gold market price at that time. So one thing that we spent a lot of time with is going over the regulation side and the legal side of things, because importing gold into Dubai is incredibly difficult. And, I think that's a very, very good thing. So the level of compliance and high standards they've set, I think that's extremely good. So any kind of mining company we're going to be working with or importing from has to kind of, oblige by different regulations. They need to be regulated by their own government authorities. There has to be certain ethical considerations and compliance checks done with them as well before we can even get this gold over into Dubai. So that, I think that's great because, we're working only with, ethical mining companies to bring this in. They have to be fully compliant. We do assay tests on the gold before it even gets imported. Then we have to do another assay test just to check the purity again once it's imported as well. So the level of checks you have to go through is insane. So we've been working this on heavily, like the legal side. The legal team alone just spent a solid month just running through this, going through all of the contracts, doing research before we could finally have the green light. And I mean, we went over to Dubai a few weeks ago now, or just under a week ago, to check it all out. We're going to be heading back over there in a few weeks as well to have another tour. And we're actually going to be inviting, a few select individuals to fly over to Dubai to check out the refinery, to review the different, the contracts we have to sign, the compliance documents, the import documents, and all of that as well. So that's going to be really exciting. So that's likely going to be the end of August or some point in September. We're going to fly a few people out to check it all out.
Very, very interesting. And for those who don't know, I have been bugging Sam for, I think, months now, since we started talking about making some videos together. And I was like, hey, I need to kind of know some of these details. Like, it's awesome that, your docs and everything like that. But like some of these things that you're saying you're doing are fantastic, right? So I want to understand if this stuff's real. So your lawyers, your legal team is very hardcore, and they worked with you and me to draft up a very ironclad non-disclosure agreement that's very terrifying. So I have seen some things that if I were to say them, I would probably be fiscally ruined for the rest of my life. Irreparably injured financially, I think was the wording. My legal team's like, it's terrible. This is real risky, man. And I'm just like, oh, it's fine. Trust, I'm good. I'll just sign it. And they're like, all right. So I'll do my best not to screw that up. And you've been showing me some of this stuff that the wider community they're not privy to because, you have these legal contracts with these companies. Some of this stuff is very sensitive information for their competitors and also for like security purposes. But I have seen some of this stuff. I've started going through some of these contracts with you. And so anybody listening who's interested in that, I can't give specific details, obviously, but I can tell you that I have seen like information about the Dubai refinery, some of the partnerships there, as well as the like hydro plant Bitcoin mining stuff. I have seen those contracts as well, and we're going further into that as you know we talk more. So I've seen a lot of these contracts. So thank you for going through all that effort. I know that probably wasn't cheap to get your legal team to draft up those NDAs for me and like go back and forth on that stuff. So I appreciate you taking the time to go out of your way to show me so I can kind of tell my audience like I actually have seen this stuff behind the curtain. So thanks for that.
No, we're always striving to be as transparent as possible. But I mean, as you know, like the crypto industry, like when it comes to Bitcoin mining, and you've got facilities with billions of dollars of Bitcoin miners in it, they can get very protective. And gold industry is, very similar. There's billions of dollars of gold traded every single day. So these companies keep their things kind of very tight knit. So it is why we are under kind of a lot of NDAs, but we are always striving to be as transparent as possible where we can be.
Yeah, and I did not realize how high security these like Bitcoin mining facilities are until I started talking with you and I started looking into it. These things like you can't find them unless you know that like because like you said it's billions of dollars. Somebody could go in there and like that's I don't know that it's the amount of money in that infrastructure. It's a very high security thing. So I'm trying to be careful with my words because I don't want to be financially irreparably injured. But I've seen things and it's super cool being in the position that I'm in. I'm super grateful to be in this like super cool position where I can learn this stuff about how these future fintech companies work behind the scenes. Now, with your gold mining business, this is kind of a more traditional business that seems more more traditional, more conservative compared to like crypto mining, right? So why did you guys go into gold gold dealing really?
Absolutely. So we wanted to diversify the revenue streams that Hydrowhales will have, and other projects out there. Because a combination is key. Obviously, you have bear markets, you have bull markets, especially in the crypto space where it's more it's more definitely you see a bull market, things go crazy. A bear market, things can go very, very bad. But gold is gold. I mean, that's one of the most respected and one of the most sought after precious metals there is out there globally. And with something like this, the beauty is even if the price of gold goes down, it doesn't affect us because we are trading gold. We are, we're buying it at one price and selling it at another. The only real risk is like if there's a black swan event where gold just suddenly halves in price as we bought it and they're about to sell it. But we have the ability to just, what, we can wait a little bit. We can hold that gold. We don't necessarily have to sell it straight away. And that's the real beauty because we can then, we have to wait a few weeks for that market to recover a little bit. But that's not a problem. But in the meantime, we can continue to buy gold at that lower price and then sell it at the new market price. And that's why I love this because it's more of a sustainable way of doing things. And I like physical things. I've always liked tangible assets. I mean, although we're Bitcoin mining as our foundation, it's a physical machine running it. That machine still has some form of value no matter what. And that's what I love. I like tangible things. I mean, I love the blockchain. I love the crypto space as well. I get there's always going to be investments you can't physically see, but I think having solid gold is another level, and this is something we can actually add into the Hydrowhales treasury too. So Hydrowhales could potentially be holding profits in its treasury in the form of gold, physical gold, over in a treasury over in Dubai. We could hold it there and have the take on the appreciation from that gold as well. And we find this to be kind of a very, very safe project for us, with everything being invested from the moment the gold is purchased to the moment it is sold. And our gold is transported, by a very high reputable and regulated firm called Brinks. I mean, one of their trucks can take up to $500 million of gold at a time. They're one of their armored vehicles. there is billions of dollars of gold being imported and sold every single day. So we'll still be that tiny little fish in a big pond. So that's the thing. We are still very, very small. And the brilliant thing about this is it doesn't matter whatever we have sacrificed into this project, we can still run it. And we've got an ability to scale almost endlessly, which is what I loved about this so much.
And man, you said so many things. I have questions for like 5 or 6 different things you touched on there. So I'm going to try to go through some of those things. So first off, just to clarify, this isn't you guys aren't speculatively investing in gold. Like, you're not buying and just holding gold and waiting for the price to go up. You're actively buying it from suppliers, from miners, and then you are going to a refiner and you're taking care of all of the clerical, administrative, legal, transportation, logistical aspects of it to get it from point A to point B, and you are earning a profit on that spread from getting it from the source and taking it to the refinery. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, that's correct. So obviously we get it from the miners out there at kind of a lower price to the market price, and then we cover the costs of importing it and the logistics of that, and then we sell directly to the refinery at the current gold market price once it arrives there as well.
Okay, so this business model can almost exist independently of the price of gold, because you're basically earning that percentage when you pick it up to when you drop it off. And like you were saying, if the price of gold tanks in that like couple days or however long it takes to get from point A to point B, that's like your risk there. But you can, you mentioned some of your risk mitigation techniques, like you could sit on it for a while before you finally give it back to them. But that's like a very small window if a black swan event happened in just a couple days.
Absolutely.
But if like gold next year is down a couple points all year, it doesn't affect your business really, because you're still making that spread from just moving it from here to here, selling, buying it low and selling it high, right?
Yeah, no, that's as simple as it can be, really. This is a kind of a simple business model. It's just purchasing at one price and selling at another, with just the logistics in the middle. The main risks for this project is just if there are delays in shipping. If there's another global event like COVID, it slows down shipping. But we do have things in place to mitigate that, such as not doing one big order. Orders of this gold would be split up into multiple shipments. So that way we'd have the consistent flow coming in, and we're also aiming to kind of over collateralize ourselves very, very quickly. So then we're still able to pay out to those that have sacrificed anyway. So we'll set ourselves up very, very nicely with that.
Now, you've mentioned sacrificing twice now, and that is something I wanted to ask about. So can you tell me about this sacrifice that's coming up here, and what it means to regular people like me or people who want to get involved in this? What do you mean when you say sacrifice?
So to get into Project 79 and to be able to, have exposure to the projected ROIs of 4 to 7% a month, is you need to sacrifice a minimum amount of $1,000 in USDT or USDC on the Ethereum mainnet. So this essentially just means is your funds are going to be locked up for a total of 6 months. So during those 6 months, you're going to be getting payouts, which you're free to take out and everything like that. And then at the end of those 6 months, you'll be able to withdraw that $1,000 or whatever the X amount you put into that platform there.
Okay, so the sacrifice, that's such a funny word to me. And like people talk about, sacrifice, there's like a few other projects that are going to their own blockchains, and they'll have like a sacrifice where you sacrifice your tokens and then you get like tokens on the new blockchain when it comes around. So a lot of people are skeptical of crypto sacrifices because the inherent risks involved. Now with the sacrifice for Project 79, so basically what happens is somebody is staking $1,000 into your ecosystem for and it's locked for a period of 6 months. Now, during that 6 months, every month they will get a kickback in stable coins based on that 4 to 7%, I think you said. And then at the end of that 6 months, they can either keep their funds staked to keep earning that 4 to 7% a month, or they can then withdraw the funds that they staked or sacrificed at the end of that 6 months. Did I explain that correctly?
Yeah, yeah, that's absolutely correct. So once you deposit your funds, they're locked for those 6 months, but you will still have, you can take out your payments. And we are actually just about to confirm whether we'll be able to do compounding as well. So that's looking likely. We just had to wait agreement for a green light from the legal team around, allowing people to keep their funds in there to compound even further. So that way you see, larger growth in, what you've got sacrificed into the platform as well. But yeah, that's the key thing there. But we will have sacrifice periods every single month as well. So they'll be open for kind of a short time window each month. So then if you want to top it up, because I understand people will be a bit hesitant initially, they want to see its proven track record first before getting in, or they may put $1,000 in first month and they see it goes well for a few months, they may put $10,000 in, and all of those kind of things. Because this is gold. This is not a crypto-based investment. This is physical gold. So that's why we're really pushing hard on this, because it's different. It's a physical gold. It's not, not virtually trading it. We are physically trading it. We are actively importing this gold. And, we are going to be inviting people to come and see this gold, see the refineries, because they are absolutely amazing. Yeah, you've never seen so much gold in my life. You'll never see so much gold ever. But we're going to be bringing people in just to see everything. Now that's just a small amount. That's just from a batch of gold being imported there. But if you actually go to a refinery, it's another level. It really is.
I can't even imagine. Like I love precious metals, because I'm kind of a prepper, and part of like my financial preps is to be diversified in some physical assets in case the power goes out and I still need to barter. So like, I've got silver here. I don't know if you can see this on the screen, but like here's one of my British silver rounds with British symbology on it. I pulled this one out of my collection for you because you are from the UK. So I thought it was I thought it was on topic. And then I also, like I showed you this earlier, on my wedding band, I wrap a thin piece of 24 karat gold. It costs like, there's like a tenth of an ounce, or no, a hundredth of an ounce or something. You can't really see it here, but it's because my face is getting the focus. But anyway, I wrapped like a $40 piece of gold around my wedding ring in case I'm out and about and I need to barter something on my person for like a tank of gas or an emergency. I've got a piece of gold, which gold is basically good anywhere. You can almost always trade gold for something else of value. And that's how it's been for basically all time. So I'm like I'm not super rich or anything. So like I've only got a couple ounces of silver, and one day I hope to own an ounce of gold. One day. I've only got fraction of a fraction. But what I'm seeing on my screen here, to me, this is stupid. It doesn't even make sense, man. Like I look at this and my head explodes. Like this is fortunes beyond fortune to me, right?
It's crazy. Like that's one thing we've really been pushing for, is to gain access to these institutional levels of investment. Like typically to get access to these things, you've got to be spending tens of millions of dollars every single month to get into these things. But no, we've been very fortunate and been networking incredibly hard and making deals and partnering up with businesses like across the globe. That's what we're doing right now, to get access to these institutional level of things, so that everyone involved can take advantage of that. We're bringing it to the typical retail investor, not just a multi-billion-dollar company that gets to import gold. It's going to be us now. And that's what we love about this, and that's what we're striving for, is just to bring this level of different investments, not just gold. We're working on many different other ones, and bring it to everyone on this level. Stop letting these billion-dollar companies hog it all.
I agree, and most people, when they want exposure to gold or silver in their portfolios, a lot of times they trade futures or they'll trade commodity ETFs, they'll trade gold mining company stocks, and those paper gold and silver markets are often heavily manipulated by big banks. You know, we got like JP Morgan and other ones like that have been caught manipulating the prices by manipulating the paper options contracts and future contracts and basically saying they've got more paper contracts of gold than they actually have gold in reserve. So if everybody said like, or silver, for instance, you know, everybody's talking about the short squeeze on silver. If everybody claimed the silver that their paper contracts are worth and that they wouldn't have enough. So they would have to start buying back precious metals at higher and higher prices to be able to make good on those contracts. And that, you know, that's like as a retail trader and stock trader and stuff, that's like my exposure to it. And then obviously like I can go to like different companies like, you know, bullion.com and a few other places, and I can order an ounce or two of silver here and there. But this is nuts, dude. So I have okay, that whole big spiel got me to this question. From my community, you have an insane amount of gold right here worth vast sums of money in this picture. Why is it just like some scribbled Project 79 on a piece of paper just like shoved in there? Like what is this? Like
you can see my handwriting's kind of worse than that myself. I mean, you can check out the video. I don't know if you got the video loaded up.
Let me
pull that up.
Yeah.
Digging with the gold, the spoon, playing with the dust. I mean, you can see the writing back in there as well. Yeah, I know. Some people's handwriting is just terrible, mine included. That's why I stick to a laptop now.
Yeah. I don't have. I think you sent it to me actually. Is it on your Twitter page?
I might do it. I could do a quick post, push it out.
Let me
If you want, maybe. I'm more than happy to do a little announcement, a little post for it.
If you want. So I don't have it here, but if it's on Twitter, then I'll pull it up. But you know, it shows some guy with a spoon scooping the gold dust, and I made the joke to you like that's how the 1% eat their breakfast. They put a spoonful of gold flakes on their cereal, and one day I shall do the same if I get enough of these Hydrowhale NFTs. That is,
I'm still too much of a cheapskate to waste it like that.
Yeah,
could never do that.
I'm
sure someone's done that before.
I'll just store the heavy metals in my body where they'll be safe forever.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know what happened actually if you digested gold dust. Don't know what happens to that.
You can actually, it forms these interesting membranal sacs where the gold particles get trapped, and they're called orosomes. And orosomes over time can cause health issues. Also, they've actually used gold salt for like over 100 years for treating things, I believe like maybe Alzheimer's and some other things. So gold salts are actually very effective in treating some neurological conditions. However, there is always the risk of heavy metals poisoning. If you want to know why I know this, I was thinking about going to medical school for a while, and I read thousands of medical articles, and I go down these rabbit holes, and I went down what happens if you eat gold and silver, because I'm like, if I eat gold and silver, will I get superpowers? The answer is no. You will actually get heavy metals poisoning. And so orosomes are, what happens is your body's defense. If you ate those gold flakes, it would create some kind of like protein membrane sac around it to protect the rest of your body from getting hurt by the heavy metals, and eventually your body filters out some of it. But like 20 or 30 years later, they did tests on these people who took gold salts for Alzheimer's, and they found that they still had these gold particles lodged in certain parts of their bodies where they theorize they'll probably have them forever. Anyway, I hope that answers your question there.
Yeah. Note to self: don't eat gold dust. Okay,
Don't eat,
I posted a video
yeah,
on our
unless
Twitters now as
it's
well.
prescribed, unless it's prescribed by a medical professional for some reason, and you know all the risks. So
I hope you have good insurance if you got to be having gold.
yeah, that's
experience of gold dust.
So did you post it on Twitter?
Yeah, I've just posted that one on Twitter now.
Okay. Let's see here. Let me pull up Hydrowhales Twitter here.
Just scroll down a little bit there.
The video. So let me rewind it. There's a man with a spoon. He is just spooning through that pure gold. And is this 24 karat gold that we're seeing here?
So the purity of those bars, I think they were about 96 to 97% on that.
Jeez.
So yeah, well, like I said, we do assay tests on the gold as soon as we kind of acquire it to work out what it is. So it typically ranges from 95 to 98%. And then we have to do another assay test once it gets into the buy itself. And then that's what works out the market price. Obviously, say for example, if gold is $53,000 per kilogram that day, if it's 98% pure, it's just $53,000 times 0.98 to work out the sale price with that. So nice and simple with that, really.
This is crazy. So this video, where was this video taken?
So that's at Dubai. So that's at one of the refineries with that that shipment's just arrived in.
Okay, so this is the end. So this is basically the shipment that you deliver to the refineries, and then once you hand that off, you get payment and the deal's done, and you've made your spread. You've made that 4 to 7% profit, then that gets kicked back to the. So gosh, that's just so much gold. That is distracting. I could just stare at that all day, and I will close that. Thank you for sharing that. That's a cool video. Now, with the sacrifice period, I want to kind of rewind before I forget. You said there will be a window. Is there a window currently for this initial sacrifice period where you said there's a minimum of $1,000? And what's the window for this period, for the sacrifice period?
So we're going to be announcing the details for that over this weekend. So we're looking to start the sacrifice period next week. So this one's going to be open until the end of August. But after this one, every sacrifice period is going to be roughly around 7 days at the end of each month. So that will give everyone the opportunity to choose whether they're going to compound their rewards or just take them out and decide whether they want to sacrifice more into the platform as well. But yeah, like I said, we'll be announcing details, this weekend. The website's going to be going live. So we're going to have like a live profitability tracker and everything on there as well. So everyone's going to be able to see, okay, cool, this is what we're expecting to hit 6% this month, 7%, or even higher. Those are just projections, and we always strive to beat any numbers we put out there. So we do like to over deliver through anything we do. So you might see it going a little bit higher than that, but we can see. But yeah, so everything is going to be going through that website, but we'll put some public announcements later today. We're going to be launching a Telegram group for this specifically, and possibly another Discord channel as well, just to manage this project here.
Oh, okay. So this project is separate from Hydrowhales, but it's connected. So you started this AMA explaining how the Hydrowhales ecosystem will have a launch pad, and that Project 79 is going to be the first project launched from that launch pad. And do you want to kind of explain how Project 79 will be linked back to Hydrowhales, how is it going to benefit all of the Hydrowhale NFT holders, or if it will at all? Could you explain that?
Yeah, absolutely. So any project that's going to be going through our launchpad, we're going to be negotiating percent of, net profits going back into the Hydrowhales treasury. Now, with this technically being a project kicked off by Hydrowhales, so the kind of majority of the profit will be going back. So after, everyone that sacrificed has had their payout, the percent of profit left over after, costs for doing it and setting up some side as additional collateral will be going back into the Hydrowhales treasury as well. So I mean, this could be scaling up to kind of huge numbers over time. So next year we could be seeing $200,000 a month from this project alone going back into the Hydrowhales treasury. There is no need for our holders to get involved with this at all. So they're instantly getting the benefits because they get paid out through the community treasury anyway. But if they did choose to get in, if you own a Hydrowhale NFT, you can get in at a reduced price of $500. So you can, it's half the sacrifice limit. So, you can test the waters a little bit more. So I know a lot of people stacked up. We had a credit card minting of our NFTs. So I know a lot of people might be a little bit drained after the recent mint because, I mean, it was only around 2 weeks ago now we minted out. So they might not have too much capital lying around. But then if any Hydrowhale NFT owners do want to get in, it's that $500 sacrifice compared to the $1,000 that the public needs to pay.
So the benefit for the sacrifice, if you own a Hydrowhale NFT, is that it lowers the minimum threshold to entry. So if you have a Hydrowhale NFT, you don't have to put up $1,000 minimum. It's only $500 minimum, and then you would just get proportionally the same amount of ROI on that $500 or whatever you put in. You don't get any extra like bonus percentage, right?
No, so it's the same ROI, but I mean you benefit from our community treasury getting benefits from profits from this project going into there anyway. So if you decide to get in, you could experience 4 to 7% a month or more coming into you from a kind of a stable project with real world gold, real physical gold. And that's the main thing. And if you did want to get in, it's just that lower entry price.
Okay. Now I have a couple questions here about like security and risks. A lot of my viewers appreciate me going over like the risk aspect of things. So you have kind of a little bit about how you transport it and stuff, but before we get to that, I guess one of the things people might wonder is why, if you're launching Project 79, why kick anything back to the Hydrowhale treasury? Why not launch this as a whole separate thing? Why share those profits with the Hydrowhales NFT holders?
Yeah, no, that's a brilliant question. So, I mean, we have an incredibly powerful community. And, one of our goals has always been to have this launchpad. And the reason why we're going to have such a powerful launchpad is because of the community we've already got and built up, strong, like-minded, long-term investors, which allows us to have the power to, absolutely kick off, and take a project to the moon pretty quickly because of that community we have. And obviously, any project going through that, they have to contribute back to the Hydrowhales Mining Club. So be it whether it's a project launched by Hydrowhales itself or through, that's gone through a selection process that's applied, we will be negotiating percentages of revenue to go directly back to our Hydrowhales treasury. And, we ourselves, all founders, are, holders of Hydrowhale NFTs. So we get payouts from just holding our NFTs as well. So it's in our interest, it's in the community's interest, just to have this stuff getting kicked back to the Hydrowhales Mining Club. Now, like I said, because this is, a Hydrowhales project, obviously, we can have a larger sum going straight back to the community treasury. But then like on other ones, it's going to be on a case by case, like whatever ones come, approach us and, apply to get in. So we'll be negotiating different percentages and everything like that. But our token is actually going to come into play with our launchpad. Once that gets launched in the next 2 to 3 months. So we do have a utility token and a rewards token. So this rewards token, you're going to be needed to stake a certain number of them to have different levels of access to the launchpad. So we might have things such as like return on investment boosters, or even access to some of these projects. So like we may, can make Project 79 incredibly exclusive once it's up and running. If you want to get in, you need to stake $1,000 worth of the Hydrowhales token to be able to, even enter this project, and all of those kind of things as well. So we're going to be making things a lot more exclusive, and then maybe have like I said, those ROI boosters as well. If you're staking X number of our tokens, you can have access to that.
Okay, that was a very in-depth answer. So there's a lot of benefit to Project 79 for launching on the Hydrowhales launchpad, because the community is so strong, the brand name is so popular, and like just for marketing, I know if I just throw the name Hydrowhales on this video when I publish it, it's going to get a ton of views, right? If I just put Project 79, that's a new thing. Not many people have heard about it, but I'm going to throw Hydrowhales Mining Club on the YouTube video name. It's going to get thousands of views probably. So I understand the benefit.
Absolutely.
And so from a marketing perspective, it makes sense for projects on your network to, want to work with you guys. And it made a lot of sense what you said with Project 79 being one of your projects and your team's projects to kick back to Hydrowhales, which is also your project. So for this one specifically, there's a lot of mutual benefit. And then you also said something that leads me to some of my next lines of question about team compensation. That's always a hot topic out here in crypto. How is a team compensated? And you said you guys own some Hydrowhale NFTs yourself. So the more you can benefit the Hydrowhales treasury, the more it goes back through those NFTs to you guys as well. So it incentivizes you to make this as successful as possible. So do you want to touch a bit on like team compensation in these projects?
Yeah, absolutely. So with the Hydrowhales Mining Club, with the Bitcoin mining operation, all of the funds are split into 3 different wallets. So we have a wallet for payouts directly to holders, a wallet for payouts into our community treasury, which is going to be used for different investments and such. And then we have a wallet for project development. So this project development wallet covers things such as marketing, team salaries, and any other associated costs like legal fees and things like that. Initially, majority of this is going to be used for kind of development costs and hiring new staff, because although we're a team of 4, we have an extreme amount of experience, but it's not possible for us to do this just alone forever. We completely acknowledge that. We get burnt out, and there's people that have different skill sets. So we're actually in the process of hiring financial analysts. We're going to be acquiring new developers in-house as well. So that's going to be covering that and our salaries over time. That's one reason why we'll be pushing to grab more miners over time as well. And obviously, once the value of Bitcoin increases again, that's a substantial amount going into that to build out a huge team for the Hydrowhales to compensate us. And of course, we hold our own whales as well, which is why we're always on a mission to beat those projections of the payouts.
Got it. So if I understand correctly, a portion of the treasury goes to continued project development, which includes team salaries, and also you guys have Hydrowhale NFTs yourself, so you have a stake in this to further incentivize developing this, right? I see a lot of projects kind of shoot themselves in the foot with that, where they only take salaries, but they don't take team tokens or something. But then I see other projects do they'll take team tokens, but then someone on the team will start dumping the tokens, or so there's always, it's always a contentious issue. So you guys will have salaries, and then also you guys hold some NFTs yourself. So it's almost like equity. Almost. I don't want to say Absolutely. It is, because, I don't know the legalities of everything in your jurisdictions or whatever, but it's like equity in this company that pays out some kind of, I don't want to say dividends, but something like that, right? Profit sharing. So interesting. I do like that model where you have some skin in the game yourself. So do you want to, I know you talked about the team a little bit earlier about how long you guys have been working together. What countries are you all located in?
So, I mean, right now we're kind of global. So it's mixed between Indonesia and Thailand, just because, well, right now we have a lot of connections. We're meeting a lot of networking we're doing, and a lot of contracts we're working on acquiring for the Hydrowhales. Well, we're all from the UK, so all four co-founders are from the UK, London kind of area. So, we're very close knit around there.
Got it. Okay. And are you guys all doxed or KYC'd?
Yeah, no, we're fully doxed and we're KYC'd with the law firm as well, who has all of our information going from passports and things like that as well, on top of just having our full names. Like you can go on a website, you can see our full names, you can go to our LinkedIn's, everything like that. We have nothing to hide and we're always transparent as possible at anything we do, including
Right.
ourselves. Like you can click right through to our LinkedIn pages on there, anything you want to do.
And I have done this, and anybody it's in their white paper, you can go to their LinkedIn. This is one of the most doxed teams I've worked with out here. So that's cool. And you guys are you guys all in, I guess they say tier 1 countries, where as like a KYC, if there was any like foul play or something, there would be some kind of legal accountability where you guys are, like where you guys are from or are citizens from?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. And I don't think any of us would do too well in prison or anything like that. So
Yeah, I
we're good
agree.
there.
Yeah. So, all right. I guess the next question is also along the same line. Do you guys have audits on your smart contracts, and with whom? I don't know about Project 79, how you guys have all that set up, but I know you guys do have your Hydrowhales NFT smart contract. I have printed it off. I have read it myself. Are you guys like audited by anybody?
So no, just because it was just only a minting contract, we didn't have it audited. It's not like a DeFi protocol, a huge team fork or anything like that. It is
Yeah.
just a straightforward minting contract, so we didn't have that audited. Project 79, along those lines again, it isn't a DeFi contract or anything like that, because essentially it's just people are depositing their funds. There isn't anything else to it. So there might not even be necessarily a smart contract to do those sacrifices, just going through a DApp essentially just to do the transfers on that. But hey, if you're more than welcome to dive through code again on that as well if you want.
Yeah, and I know we were talking about doing another AMA later where we go really deep on Hydrowhales itself and that whole like ecosystem. I have read your NFT code. It's ERC 721 and A, and like I know you have a master's degree in cybersecurity, and I have a bachelor's of science degree in computer science and engineering, and I could tell you come from a computer science background just from basically how your code's laid out, how it's written, how you import your library, stuff like that. And from my, unofficial review of your, very basic NFT code, you seem to be following all best practices when it comes to solidity security. So I just want to throw that out there. If anybody's interested, go check it out. It's a very pretty smart contract.
It's heavily optimized as well. Like we were having mints for $1, less than $1. When you compare it to other projects, they're doing mints for like 10, 15, $20 still.
Yeah. Man, Ethereum. Oof. Why did you guys pick Ethereum network?
So I mean, I know people are scared of it. They think high gas fees and everything like that. But Ethereum is, it has the biggest volume for NFT projects on there. And I mean, if you code it right, if you optimize it, it's not bad at all. Just a lot of people are lazy. I don't mean to cause any offense, but a lot of people don't take the steps necessary to minimize what their code is doing. People might just be purchasing from online or just copying one from a GitHub somewhere and just changing a few things. But if you optimize it heavily, you can take it down from $20 to a single dollar. Like we had NFTs being minted for 50 cents. It's ridiculous. And
Wow.
that's during like even when the market is like gas is like hit 100. I think the highest we saw is like around $15. But you go to somewhere else and it's like $45, $50. But on average, it was like $3 to $5 to mint an NFT. So in
Wow.
reality, it's not a huge cost. It's just if you take the time to optimize it, the Ethereum network's absolutely fine. And I mean, I know we've got 2.0 coming very, very soon, which should change everything. But touch wood and fingers crossed that kind of goes well, that merge. We'll see.
That's a double-edged sword for me because I've got 5 GPU mining rigs going that I'm making 10 to 12 bucks a day on, and you know, I want
fingers crossed. If the merge is successful, you might see the price of ETH skyrocket. You might see a bit more profitability there.
That would be interesting for sure. So yeah, I'm hoping that helps, and we can get into this when we do our other AMA, specifically on Hydrowhales, going into the altcoin cryptocurrency mining aspect of your project. So I want to focus real quick on some more of the risks associated with your projects. So do you guys have like multi-sigs on your project wallets and your contract?
Yeah, so everything's secured to kind of a high level. We have custodian services for the treasury. So right now everything's secured. Any Bitcoin mined so far, I think it's about $60,000. That's just been mining for the past few months before we finally got everything set up. That's secured in a multi-sig wallet. So that's going to begin transition to kind of a custodian service as well. So we're taking it kind of a next level because we know the amount of sums we are going to be having in our treasury and our Bitcoin wallet every single day. So yeah, I know we do have multi-sig and everything already, but custodians do take it to the next level and gives us that extra layer of protection, especially when we're talking about we're going to be having millions of dollars in these wallets. So we will be splitting them across multiple wallets within a custodian service.
Okay. Is that custodian service, will that be insured in any way as well?
So we have got, we've got business insurance already. Obviously we are operating the business, so we are insured in that sense. So we are looking at seeing what insurance we can get. But I mean, crypto is a funny thing. Their insurance up to certain amounts. So that's why we have to split across multiple wallets to kind of maximize the amount of insurance coverage we can have that way.
Okay. And who all would be on any multi-sigs that you guys are using? In terms of like the team, like who on the team is going to be on these multi-sigs?
So we have all co-founders, and then we also have kind of a representative from the legal firm as well. So they're able to sign off on different transactions when needed.
Got it. Okay, good. And so okay, with you answered most of my questions regarding that stuff. In terms of like centralization and your team, would your projects still be able to function if any of your team members were to leave and go do something else or leave the project for any reason?
Yeah, so we set this up in a way so things can be done without us all being here, and that's what we're looking to build even further by having new team members come on board as financial analysts to be handling those investment sides. So it's not reliant on just the co-founders running everything. So one day, if something happens, we get struck by a car, you're in hospital for a year or two with some terrible injuries, it's not going to be a major effect to the project and the business itself. So if you're running any business, the key thing is to make it so it can run on its own as much as possible. Otherwise, that's always going to require babysitting. I mean, we love to be involved no matter what anyway. It's just, I think, the Bitcoin mining, that's up and running. That doesn't need us to touch it necessarily. We have everything. Our legal team has all of the contracts, all of our contacts and contracts and everything we need to manage that. So if God forbid something did happen to one of us, that's covered. That can be taken over by another team member or a manager that we can get employed. Like to do with the crypto investing we're going to be doing, we're going to be having positions for that, so employees to kind of run that alongside the team as well. So then if something happened to us, we have a team already handling that and so forth. So we're setting up in a way, right now, yes, it does need us a bit more because we're still building out the final foundations of it and building the team. But once we have that team in place, we could just be removed or something like that to have it run without us being there. But I still feel like we're always going to be here because, I mean, this is our baby. It's not something we're ever going to be leaving. And I mean, I know everyone's like, you're an entrepreneur, you're going to get bored. But there's so many different things to Hydrowhales Mining Club, which is what we love. Because we're not going to get bored of it. There's so much for us to do here and different avenues for us to explore as a project and as a business. So we're not going anywhere. But like I said, we are building out the team to cover for us, because obviously we are going to need holidays and take some time off after this grind and things like that. So once we've got more members and more staff in position, we're still going to be here, but we'll have other people handling everything else for us as well. So we'll just be on top. We'll be the top layer to handle things where needed.
Good to know. And I think that's interesting how, you know, as a serial entrepreneur, you've kind of set it up so you, if you ever felt like you would get bored and you wanted to start more businesses, well, how about let's create a launch pad, and then when we want to launch more businesses, let's just do it on our launch pad and loop it in and benefit the entire ecosystem. So I think that's kind of funny that you guys set that up like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, so that there's no reason for us to go off anywhere else. We have our community and our business here. And if we did want to, you know, do something a little bit different, we could approach the community and see, should we launch this or our launch pad? What do you think, guys? We can actually do things like that.
Very cool. Do you can your project survive if this bear market continues longer?
Absolutely. And that's one thing we've been really pushing for, is real world investments, gold, physical gold, all those kind of things. We've got a range of different physical based, you know, investment ideas and businesses that we can launch to support Hydrowhales. So that's why we find it so important to diversify. I mean, I love the crypto space, but it can be, you know, hectic at times. It's very bumpy. It can go up and down a huge percent in a single day. That's why we like to have a mixture, so we can, you know, manage our risk and build out other revenue streams in the meantime. So then, okay, the crypto market is doing terrible for the next 3 to 6 months. But okay, we're in, you know, gold and the cannabis industry, and you know what, that's booming right now. So we're kind of offsetting everything. So then we have different revenue streams to always compensate if one drops off a little bit or even completely.
Awesome. And I would love to do another AMA later, specifically about the cannabis business that you run and that you're bringing to the Hydrowhales ecosystem. I used to do some work in the cannabis industry myself in the medical field. Long story, I was a software engineer during the day, and then I would help my buddies with their medical, all legit, by the way. I know it's still contentious here in the States and some, but I was all above board, and they had some really cool operations, and I would help with some, like, you know, automation of some of their like microcontrollers that controlled their microclimates and stuff like that. And like, I love that whole side of the business, and also the, you know, so I think that's cool. You're diversifying, and those are kind of evergreen businesses, but we'll get into that at a later date. I want to focus I want to laser focus on Project 79. And so with Project 79, what do you think are the biggest risks for participants in Project 79?
So for us, like I said earlier, the main risk of the project itself is any delays with shipping. But we are building out mitigations around that, such as, you know, splitting shipments, you know, having multiple shipments rather than purchasing 100 kilograms of gold at once. We can purchase it in 10 batches and spread it across a month. I mean, that's why we're offering more sustainable kind of ROIs, because we want to make sure everything's done properly, done safely, done not hurriedly, like do super fast shipping, because 9 out of 10 times it's going to be a problem with, you know, these shipping providers that offer like 2-day shipping or anything like that with different products like gold. So we've gone with a very, very reputable provider. So we've kind of set ourselves up in that way, and we're going to be pushing to over collateralize very, very quickly. So then we have, you know, months of payouts stored in case then, okay, if we have to weather a storm for a few months, okay, we can hold it. We don't need to necessarily have that income coming in or as much coming in. We can still offer that, you know, maybe just a lower percent, maybe the 4 to 5% range a month still going out, even if we're having a few shipping issues, maybe with 1 or 2 batches of gold didn't come in time for that month or anything like that. So we're building it out so we can be over collateralized, so we are ready for any storms like that. Because I mean, we've all seen like COVID-19 when that first came out. I mean, the shipping delays were horrendous. I know for like one of our previous businesses we ran, we went from, you know, taking 2 weeks to get stuff from China to taking about 6 months, and all of those crazy things like that. So we're wary of, you know, any shipping delay. So we're building it out so, you know, we have multiple shipments coming in. So if one gets delayed, that's okay. It's only one of them. And if suddenly majority of them are delayed, we have, you know, some reserved backups kind of cash there to continue paying out to everyone that's involved.
Sounds good. Do you have redundant suppliers? So say one of your gold suppliers, what if their gold mine shuts down? Do you have multiple suppliers to choose from?
Yes, we do. So like I said, the suppliers we have to work with have to be, approved. They have to be regulated. They have to undergo all of the different compliance checks. So there are a range of suppliers we have. So in case of, there's an issue with one, we can reach out to another one. So we have kind of a range of contracts in place with kind of a different range of, sellers and buyers there, which gives us that redundancy there in case there is issues with one seller one month and another the other month. So we're able to adapt where needed.
Okay. And when you're transporting that amount of gold, which is super valuable, from one country to another, how do you mitigate against risk from like bandits and disasters that are unforeseen? Do you have any kind of insurance, and how does that work?
Yes, so we're actually insured from the point of purchase, but we're actually insured for the sale price. So just a complete example, say if you bought gold at $40,000 and we were selling at $53,000, even if we had a truck, it was hijacked somehow, it was carrying $500 million worth of gold. They got some armed guards on there. Trust me, it's secure. But let's say, okay, something happened. We lost that kilogram of gold. We then claim to the insurance for the full $53,000. So it's a beauty in the way it works, by being actually insured from that point of purchase for the actual sale price of the market price of gold at that time. So then actually in that way, we're not losing out in any way or form. Obviously, it's going to take a month or so to work it out with the insurance company, but there's no real loss to us in any sense, just a little bit of disruption with the timeframes with that cash flow coming back in. But yeah, we've ensured that everything we've done is completely insured. I'm not expecting anyone to try and rob this gold, because they have armed guards in these vehicles. They're heavily armored vehicles. They carry up to $500 million of gold at any one time. So you've got to be pretty crazy to try and rob one of these trucks.
It's not like the movies. It's not like the movies, right?
Yeah. It's like GTA or something. You think GTA, you go around and there's a truck full of money, and it's not just like that. It's a lot more difficult than I think people realize.
Yeah, and I saw up here that it says, and you mentioned earlier that you guys are using brinks to transport it, and those brinks transport vehicles are like tanks basically with armed guards, and so that's cool. And then it says here you're transporting it on Emirates Sky Cargo under the shipping code for precious metals. And basically in your white paper here for Project 79, you lay out the whole process, and it's basically what you're saying. And one of the things you're talking about is making sure that the company is authorized by the Ministry of Mines here. And what that means is, if I understand correctly, that they're doing things correctly and ethically, and this isn't blood gold. Like, how there's like blood diamonds, there's blood gold as well. And that means, it could come from areas where they might be using child labor or, modern day slaves, war-torn areas, things like that, where some crazy stuff goes on. Did I explain that correctly?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I'd just like to add that, getting gold into Dubai is an incredibly strict process. You have to follow every single rule. You've got to dot the I's and cross the T's. You have to go through so many different compliance checks and make sure, both the seller's compliant, both the buyer's compliant, and everything like that. So to even get it into Dubai, there's a lot of regulations that has to be, abided by, which is why we've spent an awfully long time with the legal team running through this all, and just ensuring that all of the everyone that we're looking to purchase the gold from is approved, is ethical, and has all the right compliance documents we need for us to be able to import that into Dubai.
Now, would you say all of that legwork you guys have done and those connections you have is the biggest barrier of entry for competitors?
Oh, 100%. This is an institutional level of kind of access we have, and we're able to plug the supply chain of $1 billion of gold being traded every single freaking day. It's crazy. This is not something you'd be able to get as just a retail investor. And even if someone wants to try and do this, you need to have made these connections years ago. So we're leaning on, our network of other entrepreneurs and other people we work with and businesses I've networked with, going back 5-10 years. People we've been talking to and networking with. So we're very grateful we built up all these connections through our entrepreneurial journey, and that's what gives us this real advantage to anyone else. So if anyone else wants to try and do this, I do wish them good luck. It's not an easy process to do. It is not easy to get these connections and have the ability to do this. But I mean, I'd love to see someone else try. Be very interested if someone wants to try it, to be fair.
As a small business owner and a serial entrepreneur myself, I would never think like I'm gonna get into the international gold dealing business today. Like that's just wild to me. I'm just like, okay, what can I start on my computer here at home? Like that's what I'm thinking. So this is like next level kind of big business stuff that, like you said, you have these long-standing connections and relationships that allowed you to get into this in a way where you didn't have to come in with $100 million up front. You were able to basically secure contracts for is there a minimum amount that you have to buy and sell to make this business work?
So for us, there isn't really a minimum. We are kind of aiming to start with, around $200,000 sacrificed in this month alone, because we understand, everyone's a bit hesitant. It's a new project. Like, how the hell they got access to real world gold and all of that kind of stuff. So we understand a lot of hesitation around that, and people, just looking from the sidelines, looking to try it out. But the beauty is there is really no minimum amount we can begin with. But we're only anticipating a smaller amount to start with before it kind of floods in September and October, once people have seen, the first month and the second month of ROIs coming through, and people seeing, it's being paid out, and obviously fly people out to come check the refinery out, have a little tour, run through the documentation and everything, so they can understand how it's all coming about as well. That's when we do believe it kind of explode. But there's no upper limit and there's no lower limit. So I mean, right now our contract is for up to $53 million of gold per year traded. So that can be increased without too much hesitation. So that's just the initial starting point we went for. But we can push that high without any problems. We've already spoken. There is no real upper limit for us.
So you've negotiated this contract with the refinery that you don't really need a minimum. They'll still do business with you, and then the first limit that you would hit is $53 million, but then that's negotiable. It can go up from there. So that's pretty cool boundaries that you've got to work in there.
Yeah, no, we're very, very grateful. I mean, we've had these connections and being able to make this all work, because this is kind of another level of project. I personally never thought about 6 months ago. I didn't think we'd ever be able to get access to this, but from a few months of not a few months, longer than that, we've been pushing out to our networks, reaching out for different types of projects like these. We've kind of finally got one that's got the green light. That's that we can really push through and get this kicked off the ground very, very quickly.
That's super cool. Crypto and DeFi are interesting. 5-6 months ago, I never would have thought I'd be in this position talking with international entrepreneurs like yourself. I'm out here, I'm like hanging out with like millionaires and celebrities, and I'm just like some small town country guy here in Florida with an animal rescue, and now my life is like interviewing interesting people like you. So man, this is excellent. This is a very cool thing. Very different from a lot of the degen stuff I have covered on my channel. This is more conservative, 4 to 7% return per month, by the way, is still insane in the grand scheme of things. That is not a normal return.
So right? If you look at like the S&P 500, you might get 8 to 10% a year. Things like that. Depends what you want to put your money in. But This is what big companies and big institutions do to make, hundreds of billions of dollars of profit every single year by accessing these supply chains to do it. And that's what we've got. We're plugging directly into a supply chain that's already existing. We don't have to do the groundworks of, finding the mines and the refineries. We have that already lined up for us, and we're just plugging straight in there, and we can start taking advantage of it very, very quickly.
That's awesome. Yeah, 4 to 7% a month, especially if you compound that. I don't know what that turns into like APY, but that's a lot. Like you said, on average, the S&P 500 is 10% when you average it out over all the years. So some years, the S&P is down, right? So some years you lose money.
Yeah.
But over the average, you generally get like 10%. But you're doing 4 to 7% per month, and you're offering that to the end users like me and my audience. So that's pretty cool. Now, in the DeFi scheme of things, people will scoff at 4 to 7% per month.
Oh,
right?
Absolutely.
It's crazy to me. Like you have to center yourself and put yourself in reality and be like, holy crap. If you told me like 5 years ago that you could make 4 to 7% a month, I would have been like, all right, what limb do I have to cut off? Right. But now like people are like, oh, it's unless I get, 1,000% a month, I am not interested. But then they just completely have blacked out their like 10,000% of losses that they had on their books.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's just the risk tolerance, I think, is a lot lower on this one because it's physical gold. I'd say these IRRs are incredible. But yes, compared to some DGen projects like DeFi things where you can get 30-40% a month, it's another level going through on that, really. So this is more of a sustainable way of doing it.
Yeah, I agree. And my buddy James Pelton, he has an interesting strategy where he like has a smaller allocation for the really degen high risk stuff, and then any profits from that he rolls down into the less risky stuff. And this one I would put in the like less risky like aspect, like kind of in the middle, right? So I'd roll down like probably some of my super high DeFi degen profits if I were to get so lucky to get some, because I'm a super degen out here, right? I do some crazy stuff, but like if I were to get some and I wanted to kind of lock it away in something a little less risky but still has some good return, I might consider something like this personally, not financial advice and all that. So with that being said, I know we're going on an hour and a half already, and I have a million questions. I could ask you about this. We've been talking, for people who don't know, we've been talking for like 3 hours before we even started this AMA. I've been asking you so many questions and going over all these like documents and contracts with you. So I kind of want to wrap things up here while we can. So what is your long-term vision for Project 79, and where do you see it in 1, 2, and 5 years?
So, I think the longer-term vision is just to scale it up to a tremendous amount, to the point where we could be doing $100 billion worth of trades every single month. That's not, it's not far off. In reality, in 3-4 years' time, you look down the line with that proven track record of, consistency and growth with that over time. I don't see why there's any reason we couldn't be doing that. And that's what we're striving for.
Did you say 100 million a month is?
There's companies doing billions of dollars a day in gold and just trading it. Simple companies. It's crazy. It's really, really crazy what people are doing. And, we'd love to become one of those bigger players in this, but still being able to give access to retail investors into this. So we could become an institution for the retail investors rather than, these few people keeping it all for themselves, these big companies just keeping all the profits within them and their few shareholders. We can open it up to the wider public with all the retail investors is what we're really pushing for. We're very fortunate. Like I said, we're serial entrepreneurs. We have multiple income streams and revenue streams. And that's incredibly important, especially, the years we are now with the different issues. Like, the cost of living is rising like crazy. and salaries aren't rising. So it is important that you do build yourself out a different, a passive, not necessarily passive, but another income stream coming, or an investment you have coming in on top. Because I do think, a job, a salary, unless you've been very, very fortunate and have, pushed your way through to the top, I think that the cost of living is going to keep rising, the state of the world. So I think it's everyone's turn to try and build themselves another stream of income to top up what they have. And that's what we're really pushing for. Is like, we want, we started Hydrowhales for one of that reason, bring exposure to Bitcoin mining to everyone, retail investors, with a much lower entry price and less hassle on management. And then similarly to all these other investments we're doing, is just to help bring and build other streams of revenue for everyone getting involved. And that's something we're really, really passionate about.
Now, do you want, real quick, do you just want to touch on, you may have briefly mentioned it earlier. So with Project 79, what percentage of the profits are coming back to the Hydrowhales treasury, I believe, the community wallet that pays out the NFT rewards for the Hydrowhale NFT holders? Like, I will be soon. I'm going to get one. All right. I missed out on the mint, and I'm gonna have to buy it secondary market or figure something out, but I'm gonna get one. And how is Project 79 gonna benefit me quantitatively?
Absolutely. So we have around the 65% goes directly to the payouts. So 65% of all kind of the revenue generated by Project 79. Then we have around 10 to 15% going towards any kind of costs, like the legal costs, shipping costs. And then that remaining 20 to 25% goes directly back into, the Hydrowhales treasury. So there is a very large chunk going back into the Hydrowhales treasury every single month, which I said, like, next year, I don't see why we couldn't hit $200,000-$300,000 a month just from this one project alone going back into that treasury.
Whoa. Okay. So if I understood you correctly, 20 to 25% of the profits from Project 79 gold dealings internationally is going back to the Hydrowhale NFT holders. So, if, let's say, grand scheme of things, you hit that $100 million of business, a month in your Project 79 gold business, what's your profit margins on that 100 million? What projected, obviously?
Right, roughly you could estimate around 10%, for example. So that could be, $2.5 million going back to Hydrowhales community every single month.
Two and a half
It's crazy what
million a month, and there are only 10,000 of these NFTs. They're already all spoken for, by the way. So the only way to get them is like what I'm gonna have to do. I'm gonna have to go into OpenSea here. I'm gonna have to buy one basically at twice the price of what they were minted for. Or I don't know. So I'm gonna get, there are only 10,000 of these. So if you're doing 2.5 million a month, that goes back to the Hydrowhales treasury, and then 1/3 of that goes back out as rewards every month. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if I look at the white paper here, because I'm just trying to follow the money and see how this Project 79 benefits the Hydrowhales NFT holders, which will include me, because I missed out on that mint. Anyway, so 33.33%, so 1/3 of the Hydrowhale community wallet goes back
so that's the mining. So that's the splits of the mining wallet. So that's just the splits of the Bitcoin mining revenue alone. Any other kind of investments right now, I'm just going directly back into that community treasury to stack it up and fill it to the absolute brim.
Explain that again. So say let's hypothetically say you got 2.5 million going back a month into Hydrowhales somehow. How does that come back to me, the end user, with my one NFT?
Absolutely. So our holders get a mix of payouts from the mining revenue, the community treasury, and then through our Hydrowhale token as well. So obviously, if you've got funds going into that treasury, holders will be getting paid out through that anyway. So that's just essentially where your payouts are going to be coming from. And you could increase your exposure personally if you wanted to get into it as well, but you don't necessarily have to as a Hydrowhale holder. It doesn't really affect anything. It's just you have, you know, the ability to get in at that reduced entry price if you're interested.
So there are two ways for people that you don't have to be in Hydrowhales NFT at all. So you said like 60 to 65% of the profits from Project 79 go back to those people who did the sacrifice, basically who staked some funds with you, and they're going to get those kickbacks. And then after 6 months, the lockup period ends. They can withdraw their principal amount, or they can keep it in there and potentially keep compounding and keep getting those kickbacks straight out of Project 79. So if you want the most exposure to the gold business that you're starting here, the sacrifice / staking route will get you 60 to 65% exposure to those profits. Whereas if you want less exposure to the gold business, but more exposure to the overall ecosystem with the Bitcoin mining, Project 79, the other stuff coming down the pike, then the Hydrowhales NFT would give you that exposure to the overall broader grand plan for Hydrowhales ecosystem. Now, in terms of like brass tacks, that Hydrowhales community wallet that's going to be getting potentially that 20 to 25% profits from Project 79, how is that community wallet divvied out each month to the NFT holders?
Yeah, so what we're doing, so we've got an initial 6-month period of compounding. So we're using that treasury, stacking up the Bitcoin mining revenue into that, and then just investing that treasury into, you know, a range of projects. So we've got some great votes coming up about what projects to invest into. And then once though that first month of payouts begins, what we're doing is going to be drawing down a percentage of that, you know, community treasury every single month to then pay out to our holders while still investing in other projects. So we're aiming to kind of, you know, for example, if we're paying out 5%, we'll be aiming for, you know, 7 or 8% growth on that wallet every single month. So we can still grow that treasury whilst paying out to our holders.
Very cool. Okay. So theoretically, when after the 6-month compounding period ends for the community wallet and the payouts begin for the NFT holders, theoretically 5% would get paid out every month, and then you would be looking to make 7 to 8% overall on that. So then 2 to 3% would be compounding back in to the community wallet, the company treasury. So that thing will keep growing while still paying out to the NFT holders. And then obviously it sounds like you've given yourself some freedom if for some reason those businesses earn less, you can, you know, adjust those values to keep things sustainable. Is that a good assessment?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And then also if it, you know, it's wildly successful and you're doing more than 7 or 8% a month, you can boost those rewards as well.
More. Absolutely.
Very cool.
Like those numbers are just projections, and we'd love to beat them. So I mean, hell, if we could pay $2,000 out in year one, we'll absolutely do it. There's nothing stopping us. There's no reason for us, like if we have a big enough treasury to do that, there's no reason for us to hold on to all of that. It's giving back to our holders, and so we'll do that if we can.
Awesome. That's super cool. And so with all that being said, now when we started here, I asked you that question: how can you make these crazy projections? How in 5 years could one of these NFTs get me $100,000 per year? And it's because this gives me exposure to your entire suite of entrepreneurial, serial entrepreneurship. I would get exposure to all of these potentially high return businesses, and that's super cool, man. I like this business model. I have not been much into NFTs in my DeFi journey, but you're the first NFT I think that I really actually wanted to have one. So, and this is my personal opinion. For anybody listening, I try to be as objective out here as possible, and always give my own true opinion. And I am looking to get one of these for my own personal collection. So, you know, with all that, you know, I wish you guys the best of luck. Did I miss anything, or is there anything else that you wanted to cover before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I think that's it. I know we're going to have another AMA going over the whole ecosystem, so I'm sure we can dive into a lot more depth there because there's a lot to our project, a lot more than you initially think. You know, you initially think us it's Bitcoin mining, and you start like looking at the white paper, you unravel an entire, another ecosystem that we're doing. It, yeah, blows your mind.
It does. I remember we first talked like a month ago or more, and I'm like, yeah, I'll do a full deep dive review on your whole project. I'm just like going through it, and it is so much. It'd be really hard for me to put everything into one video. So I'm like, hey, let's talk about one thing at a time in each video. And we've gone on 2 hours, and I feel like I have dozens more questions that I could ask you just about Project 79 and your gold business. Obviously, this took you a long time to set up. There are so many moving parts, and I don't know. There's just so much to cover, man. You guys got so much going on. I didn't even get into some of the legal stuff. This is on your Discord. You know, you got your legal audits. You guys are very transparent with this stuff. And then on top of that, you have showed me some stuff with the NDA that I can kind of verify if anybody has questions about. I can't give specific details, but I could say, yes, I've seen things, and I can verify that, yes, they exist. These deals are in action. So yeah, I don't know. Anything else you want to cover?
No, I think that's good. I know we definitely need another video to dive into a little bit more depth with everything. There is a lot to us. I 100% understand that. So you can just keep on digging and digging. There's so much here.
Well, I can't wait, and I am excited for August and September. Later, I guess this month and September, when you guys take people to Dubai to have other people inspect the refineries, the contracts, and see the stuff firsthand. And I'm looking forward to those reports. That sounds super exciting to me.
Oh, me too. We're definitely excited to bring people over there so they can come see what gold refinery looks like themselves as well. It's insane. It's absolutely insane.
I feel like if I saw this, I would be like Abu from Aladdin in the Cave of Wonders when he's looking at like that red jewel, and like his eyes, he gets all big, and he like can't help himself. I'd be looking at this gold like that. I'd be like, oh, and then like that guy with the spoon would like smack my hand away and be like, no, what are you doing? Yeah, I don't know, man. Just seeing like that much gold doesn't even make sense to me. So super cool, dude.
It'll drive you crazy.
It would. So let's wrap it up here. I know you've got another meeting to get to. Thank you for taking so much time to talk about this with me. This was a lot of fun, and we'll get in touch and keep going over the NDA documents. And like I look forward to learning more about the Bitcoin mining operations. That stuff you were showing me is super awesome, and I can't wait to see more behind the scenes for Project 79 as well. And then also you got so much other awesome stuff coming we didn't even scratch the surface on. So Sam, thank you so much for all your time. I will be in touch, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us on here tonight. I know it's been quite a few hours, so I do appreciate you going late into your evening or your early morning now to
Yeah.
have me on here and just talking about Hydrowhales and Project 79.
Well, I love it. I love DeFi, and I really enjoy this stuff so much. And I really want to put as much time, however much time as it takes, to really get a good understanding for myself. And I feel like if I've got a good understanding of it through this process, then my viewers do too. So hopefully this answered a lot of questions people had. If they have any more questions, where can they find you?
So right now it'll be on the Hydrowhales Discord, which is just discord.gg/Hydrowhales. But we are going to be launching kind of a Project 79 exclusive Telegram channel for anyone got any questions with that. So we're going to be launching that over this weekend as well. So you can jump in there. We'll push out that link publicly once it's available. So then if anyone's got any questions or concerns, they can come have them answered on there.
Awesome. Well, let me close that up, and let's wrap this up so you can get to your meeting. I will get this posted as soon as possible, so anybody interested in Project 79 can be on the lookout for the sacrifice window where they can stake that $1,000 if they don't have an Hydrowhale NFT, $500 if they do have a Hydrowhale NFT as the minimum amount. And yeah, so find them on Discord. Check them out at hydrowhalesclub.com. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or find Sam in the Discord and on Telegram. So thanks again, Sam, for all your time. I will catch you later, okay?
Thank you very much once again. Have a great rest of your evening.
Thanks. You too. Bye.